Russia is setting its sights on the Arctic. This region, once considered remote and inhospitable, is becoming increasingly important. Melting ice caps are opening new shipping routes and revealing untapped resources. Russia sees the Arctic as a key to its future economic and geopolitical power. At the recent Arctic Forum in Murmansk, President Putin made this very clear. He stressed the need for Russia to strengthen its position in the Arctic. Putin's vision for the Arctic is ambitious. He wants to see Russia become the dominant player in the region. This includes controlling shipping routes, developing natural resources, and establishing a strong military presence. Russia has already made significant investments in its Arctic infrastructure. It has built new icebreakers, military bases, and research facilities. The Arctic is not just about economic opportunity for Russia, it is also about national security. Russia sees NATO's presence in the Arctic as a threat. It worries that NATO members like the United States could try to limit Russia's access to the region. This concern is fueling Russia's military buildup in the Arctic. Russia's Arctic ambitions are raising eyebrows in Western capitals. Some see Russia's actions as aggressive and destabilizing. Others are more cautious, arguing that Russia has legitimate security interests in the Arctic. One thing is certain. Russia's Arctic push is reshaping the geopolitical landscape. The Arctic is becoming a new frontier of global competition. The Arctic has become a focal point for geopolitical competition, with Greenland emerging as a point of contention. The vast island, while self-governing, remains part of the Kingdom of Denmark. However, its strategic location and untapped resources have attracted interest from global powers, most notably the United States. In 2019, former US President Trump expressed interest in purchasing Greenland, raising concerns in Copenhagen and Moscow. Putin, addressing the Greenland issue at the Arctic Forum, acknowledged the historical ties and strategic interests driving US interests. He stated that the matter was solely between the US and Greenland, not Russia. However, the Kremlin watches closely, aware of the potential implications of a stronger US presence in the Arctic. Greenland's proximity to Russia's Arctic assets makes it a strategic location. The US has long-standing historical ties to Greenland, dating back to World War II when it established military bases on the island. The US maintains a presence at Thule Air Base, a key installation for missile defense and space surveillance. The potential for increased US involvement in Greenland, whether through investment or military cooperation, has added another layer of complexity to the Arctic equation. The Greenland issue highlights the delicate balance of power in the Arctic. Russia views any expansion of US influence in the region as a direct challenge to its own interests. This geopolitical maneuvering underscores the Arctic's growing significance in international relations. As the region becomes more accessible and economically viable, the competition for influence will likely intensify. The relationship between the US and Russia has been fraught with tension, particularly since the annexation of Crimea in 2014 and the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. However, there are signs of a potential thaw in the icy relations, at least regarding the Arctic. While the Biden administration maintained a firm stance against Russia, the political landscape has shifted. The current US administration, under President Trump, appears more open to dialogue and even cooperation with Russia, particularly in the Arctic. This shift is driven in part by pragmatism. Both countries recognize the challenges posed by climate change and the need for collaboration in managing the Arctic environment. The Arctic Council, an intergovernmental forum for Arctic states, has continued to function despite geopolitical tensions, offering a platform for dialogue on environmental protection and sustainable development. Furthermore, there is a growing recognition of the economic potential of the Arctic. The melting ice caps have opened new shipping routes and created opportunities for resource extraction. Russia, with its vast Arctic coastline and resources, is keen to attract foreign investment in developing these opportunities. Kirill Dmitriev, a close Putin advisor and envoy for foreign investment, has indicated Russia's openness to joint ventures with the US in the Arctic. He has specifically mentioned logistics and resource development as potential areas of collaboration. This willingness to engage with the US on economic matters in the Arctic signals a potential shift from confrontation to cooperation. However, the realization of such partnerships remains contingent on the broader geopolitical climate and the trajectory of the conflict in Ukraine. The Arctic is a microcosm of the evolving global order. The days of unipolarity, with the US as the sole superpower, are fading. We are moving towards a multipolar world where several centers of power, including China, the European Union, and Russia, are vying for influence. This shift presents both challenges and opportunities for US-Russia relations. On the one hand, a multipolar world could create more space for cooperation. With no single power dominating the global agenda, countries will need to find common ground to address shared challenges like climate change, pandemics, and terrorism. The Arctic, with its vulnerability to climate change and its potential as a source of conflict, could become a testing ground for cooperation in a multipolar world. On the other hand, a multipolar world could also lead to greater instability. As power becomes more diffuse, the risk of miscalculation and conflict increases. The Arctic, with its strategic location and valuable resources, could become a flashpoint for great power rivalry. The potential for accidents or misunderstandings is heightened in such an environment. The future of US-Russia relations in the Arctic, and indeed globally, will depend on the choices that both countries make in the years to come. Will they choose competition or cooperation? Will they prioritize their own narrow interests, or will they work together to address common challenges? The answers to these questions will shape the fate of the Arctic and the world.